Hey guys, how's it going? So today we're going to be installing a dash kit radio doubled in inside of our 2011 GTI. Now this works for pretty much all the GTIs that are 2009 up. So let's take a look here. Or well, I guess this one might be 2010 and up. But let's take a look and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I was just looking on the instructions here. It looks like I'm just going to need a trim popping tool, and that should pop off around here, and then we'll need our 3 Torx drivers. Now, what are the items that you need to do this? Well, you're going to need a VW harness. Now, this is a Scotch one. There's also ones that are made by Best Kits and Metra. You just got to make sure you have the right tip, which is the round and then the square end. There's another VW powered antenna, which is the one with the round circle around it. It's not that one, it's the square one. And then, as you can see, I'm putting in an RP VW11. Now the reason why I'm using this one is I want to retain steering wheel controls. If you don't give a crap about steering wheel controls, then you only need a VW2 pack module, and that one does everything but steering wheel controls. You might as well get the VW11. It's a plug and play device. It's super easy, and then you get to keep your steering wheel controls. Way more than worth it. And then the kit is a 99-9011 from Metra, and I gotta thank Tyler from the 12 volters. If you don't know who they are, you can be sure to check out their page. If you also go to my page, you'll see a guy called Anthony J350. That's a good friend of mine, and he's a 12 volter. Basically, it's a little. They're a bunch of guys. They actually work in the Visions electronics install bays a lot of the time, and they're just dedicated to 12 volt. It's a good place to go and get your stereos installed. The only reason why I'm giving them a shout is because I've had them help me a lot with different projects, and Tyler, who is out of the Port Coquitlam Bay, I've seen a lot of his classic car work. If you can get your hands on seeing some of his work and you have a classic car you need audio done to, you've got to check out his work. You will fall in love with it. He does so much custom stuff. Anyways, to go back on track here, these are the parts we're going to need. Let's go out to the car and pop the dash apart. Alright guys, so the next part is you're going to eject all your CDs and make sure your SD card is removed. There's an SD card here. Make sure you've pulled that out if you haven't, and of course then just go through your CDs and make sure they're all taken out. Now the next thing you're going to want is a trim popping tool. If you do use a flat blade, you got to be super careful. I prefer to use something plastic and thick like this because it's a little bit easier, and you don't have to risk creasing your leather here. So what you do is, as you can see, I already have it popped off, but you squeeze this in from the side and you pop from the top down, and you do that from both sides. So first this side from the top down, that side from the top down, and then you carefully go in underneath like this and you pop it out from the bottom. After that, this ring just pops out. As you can see, it's just a couple clips here, silver clips, that are holding it on, and then you just have to match up your Torx screwdriver to the size in there, and it's either going to be this size. Yeah, it's this size. Perfect. So you're looking at a T20 to pop these bolts out, and from there you're just going to unplug the deck from the back, and you're going to unplug the antenna. Just unplug whatever behind there. You're fine, and then we'll go into wiring and see how to wire the rest up, so stay tuned. So in case you're wondering how these come out from the back of the deck, you'll see this little clip, and you just push in and then push up. It'll be down like that. All you do is that. You push and then lift. Do the same on this one. You'll push and then lift the clip, and then it slides off. And then this one will be sealed down like that. You just lift the lever and it comes out. So after that, these are all popped out. Your old deck is out. And now it's time to go wire up the new one on the inside. So stay tuned. Alright guys, let's go over the wiring. So the first thing I'm going to show you is you're going to have to see what deck you have. As you can see, you got Alpine, JVC, Kenwood, Clarion, Pioneer Other, Sony, and Fusion. Now, I've never even heard of Fusion. That's cool. Anyways, so what we've got here is our pack module. On this end of it, you have your steering wheel controls. If you have a JVC or Kenwood, and that means a newer JVC, they probably have something in the wiring harness for the deck, which is this black connector here. I'll go into this afterwards, but there might be a steering wheel it'll say SW control or SW something on it. It's usually, I think it's brown. I don't know 100%. You'll have to check. If you have a Kenwood, chances are you have it. If you have a JVC, a newer one, it probably has this, and you have to hook this wire up. If not, if you have any other deck, you should be able to just plug this connector into the back of the deck and it'll give it steering wheel controls. Now, that being said, you need to see the number that your deck is. As you can see, mine is a number 7. So what I did is I took this module, and if you turn it to the side, not that button, sorry, there, that white dial, you'll see some, I can't really show you, but there's numbers around that arrow. And you basically, if it says number 7, put that arrow facing the 7, which is what I've done. It's currently facing the number 7, and just make it face that number. That way this module knows what radio we have, so it knows what language to speak. That's the best way to put it. Now, let's go into the TR7, which we have over here. Now, why am I using a TR7? It is a parking brake bypass, which bypasses, of course, the so you can't drive feature. Personally, when my niece is in my car or someone else is in my car, I like to be able to put on a movie if I'm on a road trip, so that way they can watch a movie while I'm driving, so it's not, just in case they get bored. Again, this is a good investment if you have an Alpine, and the reason why is because you're going to want, it asks for not only a parking brake, but it also will ask for a foot brake. So instead of trying to find your foot brake wire, you could hook this up. And what it'll allow you to do is, I'll show you how it's wired up. The red wire goes to red, which is your accessory line. Your black wire goes to ground on the TR7. The green wire goes to your remote wire, which is the blue-white wire. And then there's a blue wire that comes out of here for an Alpine deck. And the blue wire, which I have taped up in here, that goes from here into the your Alpine where it says foot brake wire. I think it's either yellow black or yellow blue. You'll have to check. Of course, that's in your wiring manual. And yeah, but if you have a Pioneer deck, you would just hook up, or any other deck, the green wire. That green wire goes to the white wire, which is your parking brake on this. Now, if you're not using a TR7 and you don't care about your parking brake bypass, or you don't care if the video portion is working when you're driving, what you're going to want to do is on your radio harness, you'll see there's two separate harnesses when you open this up, but there is a red-white wire. And if we go and flip this sheet over, I'll show you. They've got all the wires colored here. Now, it says, this is that little separate harness I was talking about. There's a red-white wire, which is your parking brake output wire. So that would be this one. And you'll wire this up to your green wire. That's that very light green wire. And that's your parking brake wire. And you'd solder that onto there, and then that will give you parking brakes, so you don't have to try and hunt down a parking brake wire. It's really easy. And then the next wire that I want to make sure you know about is this one. If you're using a navigation deck and it has a wire that is labeled VSS, Vehicle Speed Sensor, you want to hook it up to this purple white wire. What that allows it to do is it knows this vehicle's speed, and it can give you better estimated times when you're driving. So again, that's a good wire to hook up if you have that on your deck. The next thing I'm going to show you is there's this blue-white. It's another remote turn-on that comes with the deck. Again, this one is the one that comes out of the module. I didn't bother hooking this up. Instead, I went straight to the harness one, which this one is a amp turn-on. If you have an amp in your VW, so for your 6-speaker, if it's got, I don't know, an amp in there, you're going to want to hook up that blue-white wire, so that way it feeds it and turns on the amps. Otherwise, you won't have any amp turn-on. So that blue wire is also what goes to the TR7, which is that green wire, and it also goes to your power antenna. Now, you can also, if your deck has a power antenna output on it, because some deck harnesses actually do, you can wire it up to that. I usually just always hook it up to the blue-white, because if you accidentally hook up your amplifier to that all blue wire, what'll happen is it'll only turn on when the radio's on. So you only get a sub or whatever you wired that with that. So let's get into the next portion here. For speaker wires coming out of here, those are your white, white-black, purple, purple black, and gray, gray black, and green, green black. You're going to hook those up just color coded, as you can see, white black to white black, and so on and so forth. So speaker wire is going to get hooked up just like that. Constant yellow is just going to be constant, hook yellow up to yellow, and then orange white to orange white. It's really color coordinated. The only other thing I was going to go into is I'm not hooking it up because I'm not doing a backup camera. If you're wiring in a backup camera, you'll see that there's this purple white wire. And this is usually what you have to try and find a backup wire for, and it sucks because you either have to run it from the tail light or something like that. The cool thing about this harness, once again, this green wire right here connects to the CAN bus system of the car, which when it shifts to reverse sends a signal to your stereo, which is that purple white wire, that it's in reverse. It switches your reverse reverse cam on. So again, it does a lot of work for you. It's pretty awesome. So this is how the harness kind of wires up. I've given you the information on the TR7. This again, it's a really easy wire up. Everything's pretty much color coordinated except for the parking brake. Like I said, the parking brake you'll want to hook up to the purple black, and of course these other special wires that I've told you about, these 4 right here, which have different uses for like navigation decks. So I hope that helped you out. The next thing I'm going to do is just bring this into the car, and we're going to go program our stereo up and run our Bluetooth mic and all that beautiful stuff. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so one last note for you. You remember how there's that blue-white wire here coming out of here and a blue-white wire coming out of here? Go ahead and hook both those up to your remote turn-on from your radio, which is also connected to your TR7 if you have that hooked up, and to your power antenna. So that's what you're going to want to do, is just hook that up, and that's just for your steering wheel control functions. And then the other thing I was going to quickly show you was the DIN kit. So as you can see, when you get this DIN kit, there's a plastic bar that's going through it. Just take a pair of side cutters like so and cut that plastic bar out, and then you just clip the side panels on to the edge of it, which you'll see it's super easy, and then tie your screws in. And as you can see, it's nice, flush, looks sexy, and we're gonna go bolt it inside the car. Hey guys, I just found something super sweet. So, up here right by your manual holder, there is, let's see if the camera can focus, a hole right there. See that? Well, there's no hole, there's actually a blank there. What I did is I used my panel popper and I popped the blank out, and I was able to push this wire back there, reach into here, and I reached around and I was able to grab the wire because it feeds right back right there. So that way you don't have to drill any holes in your car, so if you ever get rid of your stereo or change your design, it doesn't leave any permanent modifications. Thought you'd be interested in that. But yeah, like I said, all you do is you take the wire, shove it back there like this. Let's see if I can grab this on the first try again. Like I said, you just stuff it in the hole there. Stuff a bunch of it in there. That way it's easy to grab. Then you stick your hand around, and look at that. Bam. That easy. So, next thing as you can see here, I connected everything up to our old connectors. Big harness. Just clicks right in. It only fits in one way. And then our antenna adapter, which is right here, you just press it in and then click it to lock it. So that way you don't have to worry about it coming undone. And then now you can either put some foam around here, because some people, it might put a rattle. I'm hoping it doesn't for me. If it does, then I'm going to go buy some foam and I'll stuff foam in there so it doesn't rattle around inside there. But you just stuff it like this. And now we've got our steering wheel adapter, our auxiliary, our one right here, which is our antenna, our USB, where some of them, they don't have this disconnect function. You have to actually feed it through that way. That could be a little fun. If you have to do that, just get some haywire or take an old coat hanger and unwrap it, and then grab then tape it on and then pull it through, if that makes sense. It's just fishing it through. And the next thing that I have to run, and last thing I have to run, is our Bluetooth mic, and I think I'm going to run it up to here. So stay tuned for that. Alright guys, so last part of this is, of course, running your Bluetooth mic. So what you're going to do is you could try and get it on this headliner. I found it too much of an edge and I don't want to crease my headliner. So what I did is I clipped it on the airbag A-pillar right here, suctioned it up to the top, and then I aimed the mic towards the center of the car. What you can always do if you want to is try and clip it into here, but it's not usually the best way to go with it. Or it can be a little bit more difficult. So I'll show you what I quickly did. Again, you have this, which is going to be in like that, and you're just going to pop it off with a panel popper again. So you pop, this comes right off. Then you're going to see this A-pillar piece. It's just sitting in here. After you get that out, so you just pop that up and then lift up. You'll see that there's that hook there. So you pop and then lift up, and it comes right out. And then what you do is once you tuck this in here, you use your panel popper, tuck it in behind here, and if you pull this back a little bit, you're going to see it's separated, so you can actually lift this down, and then all you do is you slowly work it in all the way down. Again, this part you can pull forwards and tuck it in down here, and then you just tuck in the wire all the way down the weather seal, and then you can move it in behind here, behind this plastic piece. After you tuck it in there, you'll see the OB2, go over the OB2 wire, zap strap it on there, come over here, put one more zap strap on here, put your hand in there and one hand in from the top, reach down, you should be able to touch your fingers together, and then once you touch your fingers together, you can pass the wire between your two fingers, lift it up, and it's out. And then now you just bundle up your extra. And then guess what time it is, guys? Bundle up all your extra wires, really nice and pretty, and now it's time to put the deck in. So yeah, I'll show you quickly what the deck looks like when it's running, and then we can test out our features. Now there's another thing. They were telling me that I might have to unplug a module that's underneath my seat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this all plugged in, and we'll see if I have to unplug it or not. Alright guys, so for the last portion of the video, what you're going to need to do is go under your passenger seat, lift this up. It's going to be held in by styrofoam, or well, Velcro. You're going to see this module, and this module apparently you need to unplug to fully get the steering wheel controls. So what you do is you press down on this center button, and then you lift this out. And apparently this clip will just pop out like so, and apparently that's what you have to do, is just disconnect that. You can put this back in, and that's your Bluetooth module. So if we just disconnect that, move this back, do that, we should be able to now turn on the car, see what it does. Make sure there's no volume on there. If we hit the Bluetooth button, cool. It's just connecting to my phone now, so I don't know if it'll let me make phone calls. I'm going to call a number that I know isn't going to really pick up. Contacts, logs. That's my voicemail, so it probably is going to pick up. I just want to see if I can end the call.
Put your password.
I don't really see a difference in having it there.
Please enter your password. Or if you've entered the wrong mailbox number and would like to exit system, press star.
Who knows? Like I said, that's apparently what you're supposed to do in the manual, and maybe you have to unplug and plug in the pack module again to make it all work. But yeah, that's the module, and I'm probably going to leave mine plugged in just for safety's sake. And I don't really care if the Bluetooth button works on here, because I'll just answer it on the screen, because it's a huge thing that comes up. So that's basically the tutorial. Now you're probably wondering, why doesn't he have this ring in here? So what it is my unit, if I press eject here, you'll see, let's just say for a CD. See how it goes up a little bit and then down? It was catching a little bit, so what I do is something called shaving. It's where you hold it up against the ground, and then you take a X-Acto knife and you run it back and forth on the inside, and if you keep the X-Acto blade flat and make sure there's no dings on your X-Acto blade, on the actual blade portion, you run it back and forth, it just shaves the plastic. Basically this is what you're doing with it, and as you do that, it shaves a little bit off, and it'll create more room, so that way it should open and close. But yeah, that's basically it for this tutorial. I hope this helped you out for wiring up your stereo and everything. Of course, if it did, press that like button and press subscribe if you want to see more videos about this car. Thanks again and have a great day.